Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
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 Good day again, viewers, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name is Philip Sidney, your host for the next half an hour. Today with me is Mrs. Marcia Haywood, who is the Regional Coordinator for Caritas Antilles. She will tell you all of it because I was confused thinking that it was an acronym to something, but it's not. Welcome to the program, Ms.
Thank
Haywood.
you very much, Mr. Sidney. It's a pleasure
Nice
to be
having
here.
You, taking you off your busy schedule. I know you're a very busy lady. I am happy that you are here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Explain to Saint Lucia and the rest of the world, Caritas Antilles. What is this first?
Caritas is simply a Latin word for love or charity, and it's a Catholic Church's charity throughout the world. In fact, Caritas is present in over 200 countries around the world. And of course, being with the Antilles Episcopal Conference, Caritas Antilles represents the English-speaking islands of the Caribbean.
Okay, great. Okay, there are a number of initiatives that your program drives. Could you tell us exactly what are they and why, what's the objective of Caritas Antilles?
Well, Caritas is based on what we call the Catholic social teaching, which really forms our conscience and how we operate as Catholics in the region. It's important to note that our program isn't just geared towards Catholics, but towards every human person, because we wish to maintain the dignity of every human person so that they could achieve their fullest potential as God intends. So our programs we'll look at the environmental programs because that's what we're here to discuss, agriculture. And we have had several initiatives in terms of aquaculture. We have had the fruit planting, which we're going to speak a little bit more about in all our secondary and primary schools around Saint Lucia and in various communities. We have other programs geared towards generating self-employment so persons can be sustainable as we look at the care of creation. So our programs are quite varied when we focus on the human person.
Okay, all right. Who are your stakeholders or collaborators in that program?
In all of our programs, we collaborate with the government of Saint Lucia and other NGOs like the National Emergency Management Organization, Red Cross. These are basically the main stakeholders, and of course our respective parishes, schools, and other institutions who care for persons who are disadvantaged.
Okay. So we'll look at the environment, and that takes us down to agriculture. There's a program that is linked with the ministry. We started about a year or so ago. Could you give us an insight into that program?
This program is actually in collaboration with Food for the Poor, which has been a partner with us for over 30 years, and the Taiwanese government. This program is looking at the production of grafted fruit trees so that students throughout the schools in St. Lucia could plant and appreciate how important the environment is to us and to create a legacy for generations to come. It has that particular component as well as bee farming, where we look at training 20 persons in bee farming and providing them with all the requisite equipment, and the provision of greenhouses, 14 new and 6 rehabilitated, to the schools who have feeding programs, as well as what we call computing kits to the participating schools.
Okay, so with the Ministry of Agriculture, tell us what does the program entail? In other words, there must be a schedule and there are a number of plants, and where those plants went to, what schools they went to.
The plants went to all the schools that could have accommodated them. So we're looking at 10,000 grafted fruit trees of a variety of over, let's say, 15 types of fruit trees, which the ministry helped us to develop in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, who indicated to us the schools most in need of the greenhouses, for example, in their school feeding program. So the schools that could accommodate those plants were given the option of choosing which plants they would like on their premises, and the whole idea is for the students to participate in planting the trees, caring for them and nurturing them so that there could be fruits today and for the future.
So who is monitoring that activity at the school level?
At the school level, very few schools have an agriculture teacher at the primary school level, very few schools. So a teacher is designated to work with the regional offices, the agriculture regional offices, in deciding where those plants would be put into the ground, and also where the greenhouses, caring for the greenhouses, etc. We provided all of the inputs, the irrigation, if they needed water tanks, the seedlings, and of course the Ministry of Agriculture collaborated with all of the technical expertise and follow-up visits to those schools.
Okay. But based on what you said originally, there were 10,000 plants that were supposed to be distributed in 1 year. Have you been able to achieve that goal?
Unfortunately, on the part of the ministry, production has been a challenge. Additionally, what we call climate change, the weather patterns have been a challenge, because during the dry season, it is not advisable to plant. We have to wait until the rainy season. For example, when we started the program in March 2016, it was the dry season. So we had to wait for the production of the plants about, say, towards the end of June, early July. At that time, school was about to be out. So we had to wait until the classes resumed in September. It was very rainy, very soggy. It would mean that if they were planted, they could have been washed away. So we had to wait at the opportune time to plant those trees. So we have had a few challenges weather-wise and also production-wise with the plants.
Okay. After the plants are established at the school level, in terms of maintenance and fertilizing and the whole agronomy of the crop, who monitors that?
The regional offices, in collaboration with the teachers who have been designated by the respective school principals. They are the ones who monitor, and of course bring in the children as well to nurture that whole love for agriculture and the earth.
So there is an education component to that program?
There is.
Okay, so they actually nurture the children, they bring them up to par with the whole agronomic practices of the activities.
It is, and especially at the primary school level. I have been to some of the schools. I'll give an example at the Granavere Primary School in Grosley. It was really a pleasure to see how the children are so involved in the planting, and from that early stage, children expressing the love for agriculture, the love for the earth and nurturing the plants. So, you know, it was really a pleasure to see how involved the students are, and the benefit to their school, because they are motivated with the end computing kits, which is it's like one CPU with about 7 monitors, so they're able to use that in their computing programs as well. So that's really, really good. Okay,
so the financing of, apart from the giving them the plants, in terms of the inputs, the fertilizers and stuff like that, you all also? Everything was covered by the project. Thankfully, with the financial support of Food for the Poor, Inc., which is based in Miami, and the Taiwanese government, and I really wish to thank the input of the outgoing ambassador, His Excellency Remo. He was very instrumental in ensuring that the project was done, and the CIC Foundation in Taiwan was done successfully. So we're very thankful for that. All of the inputs were provided by the project. Great. All right, we are going to our first break. When we come back, we are going to continue and tell us exactly the other components to the project. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. We are due for our first break. Stay tuned, don't go away.
When you're out at sea, there are no service stations along the way or supermarkets for a quick stop if you need something. It is essential that everything you will need while at sea is on the boat before you leave. That's why pre-sea checks are so important. Checks should be carried out by more than one person to ensure that all essentials are on board.
Everything on board? Yeah, everything there. Still sure. Viens portar o tá, até boy.
Pre-sea checks should include food stores, extra water and fuel, navigational equipment, safety gear, and communication equipment.
Okay, lighthouse lah. That's what I'm doing.
Before heading out to sea, always ensure that all equipment is in working order, you are stocked up on food and also extra fuel. Call the lighthouse to inform them of your voyage plan and inform someone responsible of your departure time and estimated time of arrival back on shore. For more information on obtaining a license to fish, contact the Department of Fisheries at 468-4143.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. With me is Mrs. Marcia Haywood, who is the Regional Coordinator of Caritas Antilles. We were talking about the fruit trees. The numbers have not been realized within that period that we spoke about, 1 year stint. And of course, I'm not saying that, based on what you're saying, that maybe the schools have exhausted in terms of space. The remainder of the plans, what's for them? Where are they going to? Are they going to, just remain at the stations, or are they going anywhere else?
We are happy to extend the offer of the remainder of the plans to community groups, the wellness centers, environmental conservation groups, maybe planting on the riverbanks to stabilize the soil. We are happy to extend that offer along with the Ministry of Agriculture, where they deem it appropriate, to those institutions throughout Saint Lucia, so that we can utilize the remaining plants that are available.
So what's the duration of that component of the project?
Well, it's as soon as possible, because the plants, we have paid the Ministry of Agriculture to produce those plants. As long as they're available, it is to plant as soon as possible. We are in the dry season, so that is a challenge. We'll have to wait until it is appropriate to plant. But as long as that is done, we are willing to wait a couple of months to ensure that those plants have been handed over to those groups who are interested in receiving them.
If there are community groups, maybe after hearing this program, and they're interested in, getting plants to do the same thing, will they be accommodated?
They will be welcomed.
Okay, great. Okay, you have other components to the project. You have livestock, and well, bees also falls under livestock. I was told you have an apiculture project. Can you tell us a little about it?
Yes, we looked at 20 individuals throughout St. Lucia, preferably those who did not have employment. They received training in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, and they also received all of the inputs to start off their bee farming business. That is their overalls, an extractor, smoker, all of the complements to the bee farming. They received those, apiary visits, practical training. They received 15 hives each, and the bees as well.
How many of them?
20 persons.
Okay.
We had already started this project with the Archdiocesan Pastoral Center, and it was quite successful. In fact, they produce honey on a regular basis, and we thought it would be wise to extend that to individuals to help generate some revenue as well, and to stimulate our local economy.
So where is that program now in terms of evaluation? Has it met its goal and objectives?
In the most part. What we have seen is that because of climate change, currently there is a shortage of honey, and the bees too have done a little bit of an exodus in some parts. So that has been a challenge, to actually stock all of the hives with the bees at this point. That is the only component which is missing. Apart from that, it has met its objectives.
Okay, but do you have any other hives that, are you going to be continuing that aspect?
As long as there are individuals interested, we can continue this aspect. In fact, currently, the parish of Labry, which was headed by Father Arthur Zaluski from Poland, has a bee training which is ongoing, and they will receive all of the inputs as well.
So in terms of honey, the sale of the honey and other products, I mean, is that on stream? They're getting sale, they can have the market for that?
Yes, because there is
a demand.
There is a demand for it. We would like to see them also link with the local bee associations, so that they can actually grow and improve our bee farming initiatives in St. Lucia.
As you mentioned, the associations, I just got word, which is sad, that one of the past presidents, Vavan, I don't know if you knew him, he had a stroke. He was at hospital. Yeah, he was one of the pioneers when it came to honey production and assisting groups and young people in that regard. So I just want to mention that.
Yeah. I'm sorry to learn of that.
Yes, the other component, which is livestock again. I was told you all did something with broiler production.
Yes, we did. With the Saint Lucia's home, we realized that one of the needs was to actually feed the residents there, and we were able to rehabilitate the existing coop and initiate a broiler production there. They actually have been able to supply their demand, and they're looking forward in the future to generate some revenue from that broiler coop. So that has been very successful.
And do you expect to replicate that anywhere else?
We would love to do it, as long as there is a need and we have access, because Food for the Poor is looking for initiatives like these, since they operate throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. They do a lot of work in Haiti, in Bolivia, in several countries around our region, and they're looking forward to working with Saint Lucia in this area.
But what I'm hearing here, I mean, there's a lot of scope, and in terms of funding, it means you have quite a lot of money. What sort of funding are you talking about?
Well, there are donors that the fruit tree planting project took over $500,000 EC dollars. Okay, it's actually about $620,000. That is provided by donors in the US and other parts of the world. So as long as those areas exist, and that is one of the areas, education, agriculture, youth development, those are priority areas, not just for Food for the Poor, but for the Catholic Church. And we look forward to promoting and continuing those initiatives in our countries.
But do you think that it's going as quickly as you would want it to be? Because what I'm hearing, I mean, the funds are available, and I know out there are a number of youth groups who are looking to go into these programs. So is there, I mean, in terms of information sharing to sensitize the public, how is that done?
I think that there is a need to do that even more. I guess this is why we are here today, to do just that. There are funds available, and we would like the word to get out there that we can actually continue with initiatives, especially in these economic times. I think it is worthwhile for especially young people and other persons who would like to, who have a dream to become more involved in agriculture and other initiatives that we support, to get involved. So
is the program geared to community groups or individuals also?
Both.
Ah, okay.
Both.
Okay, great. What are the other initiatives that you have? We've
actually built a home. We are not in the business of building homes apart from the Good News Project, which is done on a consistent basis. But there was a particular case that really called out to our hearts in 2016. And we were able to build a home in the north of the island for this family who was really the house was in a dilapidated condition. That was really a joy. When we brought the donor to the home and saw the conditions under which the family lived, we were able to build a home. We have an ongoing distribution program where we provide relief items throughout St. Lucia to all denominations and all other groups who are in need, to the crisis center, to homes, vulnerable children, families, fire victims, a range of persons who are in need. In fact, we collaborate very well with the Ministry of Equity and the Community Services Program. So that is a program that is ongoing, and it's been there for over 30 years, and a lot of persons who are in need benefit from it. A lot of denominations work very well with us in St. Lucia to receive items for relief, and we're talking about not just food, but sometimes clothing. We provide a lot of medicines and hospital equipment to the hospitals, the Victoria and St. Jude's hospitals.
Wait, hold that point, we are due for our second break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move, we are due for our second break. Stay tuned, back soon.
Do you know what a GMO is?
It's genetically modified organism.
It's a genetically modified organism.
That's absolutely right. A GMO is a plant or animal organism which contains genes taken from a different plant or animal to create a set of desired characteristics. For example, a gene taken from a fish and infused in the cellular membrane of a tomato to create a frost-resistant tomato. The technology is designed to improve the quality of agricultural produce for consumption, but its long-term effects are not known. Join the Ministries of Agriculture and Sustainable Development in implementing the National Biosafety Framework aimed at providing information on GMOs and LMOs in ensuring that they are used, handled and transported in a manner that is safe to the environment and human health.
Welcome back to the program. Ms. Haywood, is there criteria for anyone or any groups, community groups who are interested in getting into the program? What should they do?
Well, we work primarily with the poor, the vulnerable. Those are persons, those who have no voice, those who are voiceless. Those are the persons that we work with. So the criteria really is that people are vulnerable. We would like, usually we have a discussion with the community groups or the persons or the denominations who act on behalf of their congregations, etc., to ensure that the persons who receive assistance are those who need it, the poorest of the poor. Okay. And that is the person that we work with to help, you know, maintain their human dignity. Okay. That is basically our criteria.
As far as your office is concerned, I mean, you do have a staff, because you don't only work in Saint Lucia, you're regional. So do you have a staff with you to ensure that everything is worked out in your absence?
Yes, we have staff and we also have volunteers. It was remiss of me not to mention that we rely heavily on volunteerism. And in fact, you have established one of the youth networks of volunteerism. You've probably heard of it, the Youth Emergency Action Committees. Yes. It's actually present in 3 communities in St. Lucia currently, in Marcia, Rochelle, and Forestier, with a hope to expand into the next year. And that's supported by USAID and Catholic Relief Services, which is our Caritas partner. And we have this also present in Grenada. In Grenada, we also have a Caritas coordinator. So I work with various coordinators who also work with a complement of volunteers and some paid staff to ensure that those projects are successful in their implementation. Okay.
So in terms of evaluation, how often do you evaluate work done in any one of the islands? In terms of maybe quarterly, yearly?
On a regular basis, in fact monthly. One of our projects, we must report on a monthly basis. We must be in the field all the time, ensuring that if there are any changes that we can have, modifications and adjust, etc. We have monitoring visits once every 6 months from our partners, sometimes more frequently, to ensure that the objectives are met, and if you have any challenges, we can address them opportunely. So evaluations are done on an ongoing basis, because when you work with the poor and you work in communities, there are many things that can affect or impact the programs.
In terms of your donor agencies, do they get the same reporting on what's done on a regular basis too?
Definitely. The donor agencies have reporting mechanisms in place. In some cases, on a monthly basis. In other cases, they give you a 3-month period within which to report, provide photos, sometimes testimonials. In fact, we're about to embark on another project. It's not agriculture-based, but it's really based on children. It's called Angels of Hope, and where we'll get donors to sponsor vulnerable children, especially children in orphanages. So I'm very excited to have this project come on stream and to really help safeguard the integrity and dignity of our children.
So, the donors, are they interested in, after they have received reports and the evaluation of those programs, are they giving more funding to ensure continuity of the programs, as it were?
That's an interesting question. In fact, one of the projects, the Youth Emergency Action Committees, this should have ended in 2013 because it was a project from 2011 to 2013. It was so successful, it was extended to 2014, 15, 16, 17, and now 18. Wow. So I must say the feedback has been very positive. We've had those young, and we're talking about unattached youth, youth who are on the block. Okay, some of them are school dropouts, and to see the development of those young people. In fact, they just participated in a regional camp in Grenada in the month of April. So we see that those programs are very successful, and the donors are impressed, and so we intend to keep it like that.
And your testimonials, you know, for example, for the apiculture farmers, the schools, I mean, do you have testimonials to at least show what's really happening in those areas? We do, okay.
We do. There are testimonials. In fact, there's a video I will share with NTN that you could probably produce in terms of the Youth Emergency Action Committee. Okay. It's very good. It's a testimonial from not just Saint Lucia, but Grenada and Jamaica's experiences. So it'd be good to share with the general public what is happening with young people and how this is really impacting them in a positive way.
How is Saint Lucia vis-a-vis the other islands that you coordinate?
Saint Lucia, I would say, is on par with the other islands in terms of involvement and successful rates. The only difference might be the numbers. We would like to see us reach more persons, but it's a challenge working with young people who have such varied interests and a lot of challenges in their respective lives. So that's one of the challenges. I think we could have reached many more young persons. You find there's a high turnover in some cases, but there's a core of young, and they're volunteers, so there's a core of young persons who actually reach out and help their communities when in times of emergencies.
Do you share information from one island to the next?
Yes, they have different platforms. They use the WhatsApp, they use Facebook, where they actually share experiences. And in fact, the regional camp which you just attended was one of those established attempts to ensure that the youth can share experiences and learn from new ones as well. So they have a very good, they've also been to the Dominican Republic and to Jamaica. So they've had the opportunity to travel and to
meet. They're exchanging visits.
They're exchanging visits, they're exchanging information via platforms. They've established a website, they have developed their constitution. They've done quite a number of things. They have received skills. We've partnered with NELU, the National Education Enrichment Learning Unit. They receive skills to become more employable, if you call it that way, so that they can also earn a living as young people.
As we end, do you have any final words?
Yes, I'd like to say that Caritas, the social action agency of the Catholic Church, is very interested in the development of the human person, in the dignity of the human person. And as long as we can find programs to help persons rise up from their current situations of poverty, we will do so and partner with all of our stakeholders in achieving that purpose.
Marcia, thank you very much for being on the program. I wish you success, and I think you should continue to step it up a little more, so that I know there are vulnerable groups and vulnerable persons out there who would love to get into that program. So I want to thank you again, and I wish you success in all your undertakings. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. I was just speaking with Mrs. Marcia Haywood, who is the regional coordinator for Caritas Antilles. Thank you for viewing. Continue viewing the program every week on the said station. And remember, agriculture is our business, and eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I'm Philip Sidney saying goodbye, and see you again. God bless. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.